Hello and welcome to video number 3. This is how to get your settings sorted. Some of the settings are not found on the app, so you may want to use the computer version via your browser to do some of those other settings. But these are the ones that you can do on your app on your phone. So open the app, Mattermost app, and then wherever you are, wherever it brings you to when you open the app, just tap top right on the 3 vertical dots. That will then bring up a menu and you'll be able to see the settings option just above log out at the bottom. Tap settings, and here you have the option of making sure that you get notified when and how you want to be notified of messages. Tap notifications. The first one where it says at mentions, this is how we notify people on Mattermost. We use an at symbol immediately followed by their name or their handle as it's known on Mattermost. Make sure there's no spaces between the at sign and the name of the person. If you tap mentions, now I have chosen a name called Ned Practice for this account, so I could, if I wanted to, select Practice, your case sensitive first name. It's very few people going to be called Practice on Mattermost, so it's safe for me to choose that. But if your name is Jane or Mary or Dave or John, you may not want to choose that because you'll get notified if somebody just uses the word John. I do want to use Ned Practice, the second one down, my non-case sensitive username, because sometimes people do forget to use the at sign in front of somebody's handle. At channel, at all, at here. Those 3 do the same thing. That notifies everybody in the channel. They're only used for really key messages, so please leave that one selected. Otherwise, if somebody's trying to notify every single person in that channel of an important meeting or an important message, you'll miss those if you switch that off. Bearing in mind, what we're doing here is what's called the global settings. So it's the settings for the whole of your Mattermost account. You can, if you want to, go into certain channels and specifically change the notifications just for that channel. Then there's a really nice feature on Mattermost called keywords. When you select that, you can put anything in there. So for example, you may want to be kept notified of something very specific, like regenerative practices, for example. So you could type in there, regenerative. Then you can also type as many words as you like. Just separate them with a comma. And then when you hit save, if anybody mentions those words in any of the channels that you're in, you'll get a notification to let you know. So that's a nice little handy feature on Mattermost. Then underneath mentions, so to get back to where we were, so say I'm in mentions, I just hit the arrow top right to get back to the notification settings. Then I have the option of mobile. The top one, send notifications only for mentions and direct messages. If you select that one, then you have the option of for all activity. That means you'll get notified every single time somebody puts a message in a channel, which is probably a bit of overload. So at the moment, the one that's selected means that if my handle gets mentioned or I get a direct message from somebody, I'll get a notification. That's probably the best level to leave it at. Thread reply notifications. There is a help video on how to use threading, which simply means that we can keep track of conversations that are threaded together. So I want to be notified of those because if I join in on one of those conversations Or if I've started a message in a channel and somebody joins their message to mine or threads their message to mine, I want to be notified that somebody has replied to my message. Then the last one, second one, third one down is trigger push notifications when. This is how and when your notifications are pushed through to your mobile phone. At the moment, if I'm not using Mattermost, but I have it open, so I'm away, which means I haven't used Mattermost in the last 5 minutes, but it's definitely still open on either on my computer or I'm in the app, or I've closed the app down and I've shut down my computer, so I'm offline, then I'll get notifications pushed through to my mobile phone. But actually what I prefer is I like to have the top one selected. That means that even if I'm using my Mattermost on my computer, I'll still get a notification on my phone, and vice versa. If I'm using the app on my phone, I'll get a notification on my computer. That means that if I'm in the middle of writing a message, then I can go and quickly see on my other device, on my phone or my computer, what somebody said. So that's quite useful. So I'm going to save that change. And then the last one is send me a test notification. So if you're a bit stuck and you're not getting notifications, you can come here and have a test notification sent. Or if you've changed any of your settings and you want to test that that setting has been changed. Then to go back to the next option, hit the top arrow, top left, email. By default, it's set to send email notifications. So when you get a direct message from somebody or somebody mentions your handle in a channel, you'll automatically get an email. I don't use emails, so I'm going to switch that off. And also, from a security perspective, emails can be hacked. So it might be a good idea, if you're not really that bothered, to switch off that notification and don't have an email sent to you every single time you get a message. Then hit the arrow again. Automatic direct message replies. This is a nice little feature on Mattermost. It's like an out of office. So if you go away and you're not going to use Mattermost for a while, you can enable that and you can write a custom message. And then people who direct message you will automatically get that message saying, I'm away until the 19th, I'll get back to you after then. So obviously don't enable that unless you're not using Mattermost for a period of time. So those are your notifications on your app. Then if you hit the arrow again, you have the option under display, and you can change the color scheme, and you have a variety of different options there. Clock display, that is set by default to the 12-hour clock. I prefer a 24-hour clock, so I'm going to change that and save it. Time zone, it's set automatically to London because it's picked up your location. And then hit the back arrow again to get back to the main settings options. We've already looked at other teams you can join. And then you have advanced settings. So other teams you can join is in another video. In video 2. Advanced settings, I wouldn't worry about this one. It basically means that if you want to clear your Mattermost, you can delete all the documents and all the data and it'll refresh your Mattermost, but you will lose all of that information. Bit of information about Extinction Rebellion. There's a help option, and if you select report a problem, it'll take you to an auto email to email support@rebellion.earth, which is XR Global's tech. And that's the settings on your app, on your phone. Now we're going to have a look at the other options under the 3 vertical dots top right. So you have at the top your handle with the @ sign. So you can see if somebody says, what's your handle? That's where you find it. Mine on here is @NedPractice. And then I've given my full name as Practice Ned. I can see that I'm online because I have a green tick. If I had an orange clock, that would mean that I hadn't used Mattermost in the last 5 minutes, but I had it open. And if there's a blank circle next to somebody's name, it means that they don't have Mattermost open. I can set a status here. So if I select Set a Status and I tap the emoji symbol to the left of the word Set a Status, here, if I wanted to, for example, I could add the 100 symbol. And then if I want to, I can tap into where it says Set a Status and I can say what I'm doing. So other people can see what you're up to. And I can set a timer. So I can say that I want that to change after today. If I'm, for example, not very well, I can put in there that I'm ill or I'm busy. And then you can choose when it clears. So I'm going to say after today or after this week and select that. And there's a custom option as well. Or there's the auto ones. So you can just choose one of those and it'll automatically add that for you. Then select Done. Then tap top right again on the 3 dots, and you can see that it's changed my status to practicing until Saturday. Then underneath that, I have recent mentions. These are recent mentions for your handle. So if you want to quickly find a message or a direct message from somebody or where your handle has been mentioned in a channel, you can tap that and it will bring up all of the channels and all of the direct messages where your handle has been mentioned. I haven't used Mattermost using this account yet, so I won't have any mentions currently. Then tap the top right again on the 3 dots. Saved messages. This is a really key feature on Mattermost. You can't do this on any other app. This is my memory. So if I find a message that's useful, that has links in it, and that I want to keep for myself forever until I unsave it, on the app, I can press and hold the message. So I've just put my finger and pressed on the text underneath Cat Cloudy's name. Then I have a menu come up. Now I could use reply, and that would thread my reply to Cat's. I can follow that message as a thread, so that if anybody else replies to it, I'm following that thread and I'll get notified if somebody replies to that message. I can mark it as unread. So that means I can come back to it later. It'll go into my unreads and sit in my channel, showing white and bold to show me that there's an unread message. I can copy a link to the message and paste that link to other people, so they can just select the link and go straight to that message. And here is the save option. And if I tap that one, you can now see that it says saved just above Cat Cloudy's name, and the message is yellow and highlighted. So that is really, really handy. And if I tap top left and then pick up saved messages from this list by selecting it, there are the saved messages. Now Cat, you can see, has been threading her announcement messages to each other. And that's why there's 2, because it saved the thread. And now if I want to unsave it, I can do the opposite. Press and hold the message to bring up the menu. And now you can see it says unsave under copy link. So I'm now going to unsave that message. So when you've finished using it, then you can just go in and unsave it so that you don't get a long list of saved messages and then you can't find your saved the one that you want in your list. Then tap top right again. And next you have edit profile. So here I can change my name. Please don't change your username. If you do change your username and you have what's called a hub account, it'll disconnect you from that account. And then the hub won't be able to send you any new invites to new groups. Always, if you have a hub account, change your handle, your username on the hub by logging in, then clicking it on the down arrow next to your name top right and going into settings and change it there. Then when you add your Mattermost password at that point, it'll change it everywhere, on the hub, on Mattermost, on the forums and the cloud. Again, don't update your email address here if you have a hub account. Do that on settings on the hub. And here you can change your nickname. And here I've put my position in, making support videos. Now that's quite useful for people because if you press and hold a handle, you can see what they do as a role. So if you get involved in something specific, please put your position in, your roles in, or the jobs that you're doing, so that people know if they contact you, they can contact you for something specific. As well, it also helps if people have similar names on Mattermost, if you can see what role somebody's in or what job they're taking on. So for example, I've just pressed on Kat's name, and there Kat has put in all the roles that she's doing for 100 days, for the Midlands, for Lincoln, and she's also an action coordinator for Lincoln. At this point, if I wanted to, I could press send message and send Kat a direct message just from selecting her name. And that is everything underneath the list of all of the different types of things that you can change on the app. Now I'm going to show you how to do all of that on the desktop. Okay, so here's how you change your settings on the desktop version. Remember, it's organize.earth, organize with an S, to be able to open Mattermost in a browser like Chrome or Safari. Then come top right to the settings icon and select that. And as I said before, earlier in this video, you can have more options on your desktop version. So first of all, you can come to your notifications, and here you can select send desktop notifications for all activity. I wouldn't select that, otherwise you'll have a lot of notifications. That's usually the best one, only for mentions and direct messages. So when your handle is mentioned, your name with the @ sign, or you get a direct message from somebody. I would select thread reply notifications. It means then that if you message into a channel or you've messaged into a direct message and somebody threads or sews their message to yours, you'll get notified of that thread progressing. Or if you've chosen to follow a thread by clicking on the follow option and that conversation progresses, you'll get a notification to let you know. If you want to have a sound, you can choose one, switch it off, or choose a variety of different sounds. Email notifications. Now I changed that on my mobile to never. The recommendation is not to have email sent to you when you get a message, only because emails can be hacked. So it could be a security issue. But if you are an email user and that's what you prefer, then select immediately. Mobile push notifications. So here is how I change the notifications when I want notifications sent to my mobile phone. And at the moment, these are the settings. These are the ones that I chose while I was on my mobile showing you earlier. And I don't want to change any of those. Words that trigger mentions. So this is what happens if somebody uses any of these words, then I will get a notification. So any of these words used in the channels that I'm in. So I've chosen practice because there's not going to be anybody else on Mattermost called practice. My non-case sensitive username, channel-wide mention. So if anybody uses @channel, @all, or @here, everybody in the channel gets notified. It's only used for key important messages. And then here is where I can put any words in, separated by a comma. And if somebody uses those words, I'll get a notification. Great way to be able to follow something. And there's the automatic direct message reply, like the out of office, where I can enable it, create my own message. So if somebody direct messages me, then they'll get an auto message to tell them I'm away. Obviously only use this if you're away, not going to be using Mattermost for a long period of time. Then we have display. Again, you have the option of changing the color scheme. Collapsed reply threads. So at the moment, what we have is on the far left panel here, we have the option of threads. Now, if I switch that off, that would disappear. And what I would have then is I'd have threads within channels. I prefer it so that I just have the word threads at the top. And I'm going to show you how to use threads later. But here is where you would switch that off. Clock display, I've set mine to 24 hours. Teammate name display, I want to be able to see people's usernames, their handles. So you can go through these and have a play with them. There's quite a lot of them. And don't be scared of playing around with them if you want to. You could always come back in and change them again. Sidebar. This is this column here. This is the sidebar or the channel column. By default, it says group unread channels separately. So it means then that all of my channels with unread messages in all sit here under the word channels. I actually prefer it to have a header called unreads. So I'm going to switch that on. And now you'll suddenly see that I've got unreads here just under the word threads. And all of my channels with unread messages in are sat there. And then any with where I've read the messages, they drop down and go grey and sit below the word channels. Number of direct messages to show. I'm going to select all direct messages. That means I won't miss any if I reach 20 or over. Obviously, if you make any changes, remember to save them. And then on advanced, I would suggest, because at the moment, by default, every time somebody joins or leaves the channel, you see a system message saying, this person's joined the channel, this person's left the channel. If you don't want to see those, and they do get in the way, select Enable Join Leave Messages, switch it off, save that, and then you won't see those system messages anymore. You will see your system messages, but just not for anybody else. And that's the settings. And then if I go back, so we've done all of those settings. And now I'm going to come across to here. And here, as you saw on the mobile, are all the other options. So there is where I changed my status and added that emoji. And again, when you click on it, just by clicking here, you can change the emoji, or you can add whatever words you want in here in terms of your status. Here's where you can set the timer for where it clears. And then here are the templates that you can use. That's it, I think, isn't it? There we go. Then you've got the option of online. away or do not disturb. I'm away at the moment because I've not been messaging into the channel. As soon as I start to message into a channel, it'll show me as online. But I've got Mattermost open, but I haven't really used it in terms of messaging for the last 5 minutes or more. So it's automatically set my status to away. And then if I wanted to not be disturbed, I can select that and choose how long for. If I wasn't using Mattermost, I'd have a blank circle against my name. And then when I go into profile, here are all the options for changing my name. Again, don't change your username here if you have a hub account. It will disconnect you from the hub, and then you won't receive any further invitations to other groups. I can change my nickname. I can add my position, what I'm doing, what I'm involved in. That could be anything. I can change my email address. Again, don't change it here. If you have a hub account, do it under the settings option on the hub. And here I can add a profile picture. So when you click on that, you can then go down to your computer by clicking select. That'll access your computer. You can pick up a picture and add it here. And then under security, this is where you could change your password. Again, if you want to keep your password the same across Mattermost, the hub, the forum, the cloud, then you can change it here. But then I would suggest going into the hub and changing it there, and the cloud and the forum, so that you've got the same password for everything. That makes life a bit easier. And that's it. That's how you use these options top right. Thanks very much for watching.